Hi there, it's me, Teacher Mike from phuketpals.org. Hope everyone's okay today. And this is the latest video dealing with the extended response, the ER for GED RLA. Now, we've done a few videos about this already. This one, it's the main thrust, the main focus of this video is how to earn more points. Lots and lots of students around the world have stated things like, should I even bother doing the ER if it's only worth 20%? Or some people are saying things like, it's impossible not to get a 0, or it's impossible to get a decent score. And you need to take a step back. This essay is nothing. There's no magic here. It's just a difficult analytical essay that you have to write. Okay, you've got 2 articles. Each article contains 4 to 5 paragraphs. It's quite a lot of reading to do. You need to read both articles closely. You need to decide which parts of that article the writer supports his argument well. You need to pick those out from both articles. Then you need to evaluate the points that you've chosen, and you'll see which of these 2 articles is better. Which writer, writer 1 or writer 2, supports his thesis or his argument the best. Okay, now that's quite a lot to do in 45 minutes when you still have to write the thing, edit the thing, and all the rest of it. So this video will kind of show you how to earn more points, and this is something you need to incorporate into your preparation. So your response needs to include the why. Okay, now many students just list arguments that the writer makes or supporting points that the writer makes, and don't really explain why these make his argument stronger. So this why component of the essay is, it's higher order thinking skills at the very highest level, and many students find it quite tricky because of the time constraints, just because of the difficulty of the text. But if you practice this, you can definitely dig a bit deeper and raise your score. So if you look over, for example, let's say we're setting the claim. Okay, so statement of stance. This is your thesis statement. This is where you're saying which of the articles you believe is better supported. Have a look. On the left here, we have a good example, and on the right, we have something you should avoid. Let's compare the 2. So, in the argument for daylight savings time, the pro-daylight savings position is better supported because the research is more timely and reliable. Okay, so you can see by saying the research is more timely and reliable, we're actually saying why we believe Article A, for example, is better supported. Lower level students will just say they believe that Article A is better supported than Article B, but they won't say why. Okay, so it's the evidence is more timely and reliable. So there we go. Okay, instead of saying they say daylight saving times is a great thing, okay, or just saying Article B is better supported. So you want to give this why in here because it gets you the points. And if you're one of those students who always says it's impossible to score well in this, it's probably because you're not including the why. So you need to get into that. Next point is your evidence must support your thesis. Okay, so if whatever your thesis states, you must make sure that your body paragraphs clearly support this. Okay, so each topic sentence you write of your 3 to 4 body paragraphs must clearly and directly support your thesis statement, which will be your last sentence of your introduction. Your response needs more than quotes. Okay, so many students simply just use massive quotations. They're kind of just chopping out pieces of the articles and throwing them in, saying things like the writer's argument is strong because he says, quote, and then they just lift out 3 or 4 lines from the article itself. This isn't enough. You'll probably get a 0 even if you just do that. So you really need to explain why the article is strong, or why the particular quote is strong argument, and you need to talk a bit around the quote. It's not just enough to give the quote itself. You need to say how this quote fits into the writer's idea, his main idea, and use direct quotations. Okay, direct quotations are things that are lifted directly from the text. Use those as support, but then you need to explain. You need to elaborate. You need to develop those a little bit more and say how this links into the writer's thesis. Okay, so your response also needs to be clearly structured, 5 to 6 paragraphs. Hey, don't lose silly points with these structural components. You need an introduction, you need a body 1, body 2, body 3, maybe body 4, and you need a clear conclusion in which you summarize what's already been said and maybe restate your own position once again. Okay, so there's some ways to earn more points. Also, your response needs to evaluate the evidence presented and decide which article has the stronger points. We've kind of touched upon that already. Evaluation is a big skill in here because lots and lots of students can pick out quotes from the articles which they know that present an argument, but when they're faced with a list, let's say they're faced with 3 or 4 points from each article, 3 or 4 supporting points, then they find it difficult to say which of these are the better supported evidence. They find it difficult to differentiate between the strong argument and the weak argument and all of that. We'll be looking at strong and weak arguments in a video later in this course if you're not sure what it is, so don't panic at this stage. But just so you know right now that you do have to evaluate between the arguments of the 2 articles and then decide which one is stronger. Okay, and you also, when you talk about these in your extended response, you don't talk about the arguments in isolation from one another. You need to make comparisons between the evidence to prove your thesis. Okay, so let's take a little look over here. We're talking all about analyzing the text, evaluating the text, and then engaging with the text. And engaging is giving your why here. Giving your why and making comparisons between the texts where necessary. So let's have a look at here and what we should not do over here. In the argument for daylight savings time, it seems that the pro-daylight savings time position has won. The first article brings up several improvements in the daily lives of Americans which daylight savings time brings about. The article then uses studies and large-scale research to support this position. Then we go into our comparison here. In the second article, only smaller scale studies are used, and the writer uses arguments with no factual basis to support anti-daylight saving positions. Okay, so you can see there, the first article brings up several improvements in the daily lives of Americans, which daylight saving times brings about. Okay, so we have a piece of evidence there. And then what makes this evidence strong? Well, the article uses studies and large scale, that's important, large scale research projects. Now, if you contrast that to the second article here, they only use smaller scale studies. Okay, now of course, a large scale study investigating something is going to have much more validity or much more weight than smaller studies. Smaller studies could have holes in them. There could be inaccuracies. These kind of things are less likely to happen in a large scale study. So obviously, the large scale studies, it creates more reliable evidence. Okay, and also it says here that the second study has no factual basis to its arguments. Okay, so therefore, if there's no factual basis to an argument, it's going to be very, very weak and verging on opinion. Okay, if you look at the second example here, this is what you shouldn't do. The changing to daylight saving time twice a year is quite confusing to a lot of people, especially at the right time before and after the change. A person can become upset when they forget to change their clock each time. More accidents can also happen in rushing when you forget to change all of your clocks. Okay, you see the second piece of text here. There's no supporting evidence. It's just someone stating ideas. there's no depth to it, there's no validity to it. So the first one here is obviously the much better example. Okay, so that's about it for this video. I hope it helps you out and helps you analyze, evaluate, and engage with these ER texts a bit better. Okay, I just want you all to get past that stage of just listing arguments. You need to clearly state why in your thesis statement one article is better supported than the other. Then you need to prove this within your body. You need to use direct quotations, but not too many. And then you need to expand upon those direct quotations and link it back to your thesis statement. And you need to make comparisons between the texts to prove your thesis statement as well. Okay, so that's about it for this video. I'm Teacher Mike from phuketpals. If you have any questions, you can leave them below this video, and I'm happy to answer you. And yeah, so have a good day. Thank you very much.